Alright. So, the other day, I decided I wanted to get myself fired. You Yeah, I decided to get myself fired. I chose to get fired. That sounds a little strange, but schoolwork was getting a little heavy. It was getting to be that at that time of the year, and I couldn't quite juggle it anymore. But I couldn't quite make that my decision myself. So I did what anyone else would really do. I called my dad. Called him. Go into class. I said, "Hey, Dad. So I'm thinking about getting myself fired. School's getting stacked up. I need the time now. What do you think?" He was like, "Well, you always know school's most important, and we'll figure out everything else." I was like, "All right, cool." I went to the phone, went to class. That was that. Then later that day, I had to call my mom because had to fill her in, pull her into the loop. So I shouldn't have phrased it the way I did because I put it, "Hey, Mom, I'm getting myself fired tonight." I thought it was humorous. Yeah, I'm getting myself fired. No, she's already having a bad day. And you know that look when your parent, like, you say something to them and they don't quite like what they said, so they got that look in their eye? I could feel that feeling over the phone, like she was staring at me like it had just crossed her day even worse. It was a very strange feeling. Just being able to hear that over the phone, that tone of voice on the phone. But after about 20 minutes of slight lecturing and more me consoling her than the other way around, I then went to, for the rest of the day, kind of soul searching, some self-depreciation, and I think did the 5 stages of grief at some point in time. So I texted my brother. I said, "Hey, man, call me when you get off of work." And he said, "All right, everything all right?" I said, I'm alive. It's another day. It wasn't that bad. But I wanted someone to talk. So he gets home about 12. I'm up to about 4 o'clock in the morning. But it was a good time. I needed someone who wasn't being a parent and trying to lecture me and try to teach me the way of the world. I just wanted someone to kind of shoot the shit with for a few hours. And you know what? I felt better by the end of it. But in life, we have associates, strangers, friends, close friends. We have family. When we have problems, we go to family first. It's not the wrong decision. Family out of itself is like the origin of our existence. They are the first people we meet. They're the first ones to show us the world, to teach us who we are in the world, how we operate in the world, and how we live. They are the first. So it makes sense, when you've got a problem, the first thing you do, go to them. And even then, when we have family, you get different types of family. Nuclear families, you have the parents and the kids. Or you have single-parent families, one parent to multiple kids. Or you have kidless parents who are religious partners. Or you have extended family. People beyond, aunts, uncles, grandmothers, nephews, nieces, all the jazz. And you have fictive family, which is, you choosing your own family. Now, I'm going to tell you now, most of the people that I just involved in my story are not what you would call my family. As I just said, we have the nuclear, single parent, and extended family. None of them are what constitutes a family. They would be what we call fictive family. My father, while not of blood origin, I have not known a day where I've not known him. And my brother, funny enough, he's actually the older brother to one of my other friends, who I would also consider a brother. He just wasn't there that day. But I want to kind of go back to the fictive family part. Because fictive family, as defined by anthropologists and anthropographers, is more or less a title person, like you assign that title of family without having any sanguineal or filial ties to that person. It's not a true kinship. That to me kind of strikes me as off. Even though it's not a true kinship, I still would say they're family, right? Like, family of itself serves a purpose. Let's go back to this. It's supportive, both emotionally, informationally, physically and socially, and hell, even financially at times, right? You go to them, they help you. But some of the at least core idea when it comes to family is that you're born in your family. It's very traditional. But I would like to argue that family of itself, choosing your family, serves a much better goal than just traditional inheritance. We're going to go back to my dad and my mom. Don't get me wrong. I love my mother. But, where's that but? Me and my friend, I feel very differently about me and my dad than I do my mom. When I have a problem, I go to my dad first. If I need advice, I go to my dad first. But again, he doesn't sit in that traditional, like, he was my father. He was there since the day I was born, and what I know him to be my father, but conventional family ties, he's not my dad. Very strange how that works. Because I feel a stronger tie to my dad than my mom, who, she gave birth to me, and because of that, I feel obligated into the relationship. There's something, I have to do it. I can't even, it feels wrong to say I feel neutral about my mother. There's just something so strange about that concept that it feels odd to put into words, but that's kind of how it is. I love my mom, but it's nowhere near as strong as my father. And so when it comes to family, it always thought, again, as I got in my later years, it always struck me as odd that I never felt that connection people talked about when it came to family. It never quite struck me as that hard. But when the people who I chose to be my support network, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But we go back to that idea of fictive family. Fictive sounds like fiction. It's not true, it's not there, but why could it not be there? Why can't I choose my support network? Why am I not allowed? It feels like through the words itself to put this imaginary relationship into something that's not family, something that wasn't blood, something that wasn't from the start. When in case it's just there. When I can make my own support network, I can make those relations. There's nothing that holds me or holds us from doing those things. So why should we be contained into this little box of this is family, everyone else, yeah, you know them, they're friends, they help you, but you can't call them family. Not at least in the truest of senses. You see, there's always this quote, blood is thicker than water. Now, I'm going to tell you that's horseshit, because the true quote is the blood of the covenant is much thicker than the water of the womb. They cut the goddamn quote short. Just like how curiosity killed the cat, the full quote is, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. I don't approve of that. They needed the satisfaction part and the other. I don't approve how they flipped it and flipped the entire thing. It is so arbitrary to try and prove a point. Like, you can choose your family. Like, you can choose your actual family, the people you were born with. That's fine. Like, there's nothing stopping you from that. Like, you can just expand it from there if that's what you wanted. Like, that's, like, in a good family that you feel, it's like a community. The community has a stake in you, and you have a stake in the community. You, in a sense, at some level, have chosen that family. And that's fine. Like, that's what I'm talking about. I want that deeper connection. But at some points in time, it feels like I am obligated to do it because you are this. It seems stationary and it's hard to move up and down. Like, that, the relationship is as it is, it seems. There's nothing more than that. That's why I love my mom, but it's never going to be like, I love my mom. Like, there's not that deep, warm, enamorous feeling of what we would consider affection. Unlike with my dad, it's never going to be like the same, it feels. If I had that obligation part of it. Same with the other siblings. I have a sister who's related to me in blood. She's 6 years my junior. I could not have the same conversation with her as I could with my older brother. It just doesn't make the same. It's just not the same connection. But why should I be forced into this reality of, this is my family, this is what I've got, this is what I gotta work with. That's it. No, we should be able to expand and form those relations outside, but still hold them to be true. Fate should not decide your family, you should choose your family.
There he is.
Yeah, there we go. So, that felt like there was a lot of garble, like some of that when I was rehearsing earlier, was more like this I just spit it all out. This is just, alright, let's make something of this.
Okay.
How you feeling from that?
I think it was good. I think that you were you could really, you filled the room and you were very passionate about what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
I could really tell that you cared about what you were saying and that your points were very well put together.
Mm-hmm.
But the structure, they were not well structured. They were put together.
They're here, but they're not
It's a, do you know what an electron cloud looks like?
Yes.
It kind of looks like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. We need the nice, inaccurate, here's our one electron level, and then there's another one, and we get our vectors, and it's beautiful.
Okay.
It's easy.
So structure.
Yeah, structure.
What points do you feel we should go? So the story still starts here.
So yeah, we got to start with the story. We got to lay the foundation of mom and dad.
The brother, which is again,
Brother,
sorry, I'm choosing to get fired.
Right.
Weird story, that one, but either way.
That's good. Yeah, the story is good. And then Basically, after your story, you kind of went from A to Z, but you also, it was kind of like A, B, C, D, C, E, D. It was kind of like that. So kind of repeating yourself a lot. Or you weren't maybe not repeating yourself, but reiterating. And so I think this is where a visual aid will be very helpful. I will give my story, and then you can either lay the foundations of, here's why being very concrete about traditional family and your blood ties of your family, here's why that's bullshit. Or you can go, here is another view, and then debunk the normal stuff, and then debunk the tradition. Like, here's my view, and here's why this other view is unideal.
I kind of want, okay, that makes sense. But again, I like the original story because I like to build in that idea. This is an actual family, and we're going to continue that until we flip it. Like, I'm going to want to flip the script because I'm looking kind of for that star. I'm looking to flip the script, and then we move on to why I think.
Yeah, I really think that. Yeah, But wait. This person who I say is my father, I'm not actually. He's not my sire. And this person I say is my brother is not somebody who I'm related to by blood. Yeah.
Sanguineal. That's a word that's going to be. I feel like
good.
That word is going to. It's going to mess me up when I actually look at the thing, and if I don't remember, it's like. Sanguineal. And I remember, I'm probably going to have like a picture when I'm making the slides. I'm probably just going to like copy paste on Wikipedia fictive relations or fictive kin, because I looked at that and it's like, I just like,
Yeah, so I took a family relations class.
With Abigail?
With
Abigail is one.
Jill Walls?
No, Abigail was student.
Abby Huff.
Yes, so I asked her for her notes and actually was looking through it and actually got some of the ideas, and that's where I saw a lot of I understand, I don't entirely get the whole, there were bits and notes, but it seems family at its core, at least in the traditional sense, to sit on an immediate parent relation to child and the extended family. And so that's kind of the understanding I'm going with for traditional sense of, you have the parents, you have the kids, well, we're going to break out of that and get out of this sanguineal idea of thought.
Right. So something that I think you could go into more is you do talk about your mom a fair amount, and you elaborate on the feelings of there being a disconnect. If you could provide a story about why you call the man you call your father, and who is this guy? Why?
Okay, can I jump into that?
Yes.
Show you, because I have a perfect story for you. I just don't have time to allow for it. So we have my dad. My dad I met about 20 years ago. He was the roommate to my mother at the time. I'm not quite entirely sure how it came to be, but all I know is that as a child, he used to wake up in the middle of the night while my mom was sleeping and would basically feed me while I was, a kid. And ever since then, it always, registered to me that he was my dad. And I remember when I was a kid, they just tried to explain to me that he wasn't my dad. And I got upset by that. Not because, he wasn't my dad, but it's oh, we can't hang out anymore. It's no, that's fine. I literally stopped giving a shit after that point. It's all right, cool. And I got in the car. Again, 7-year-old, they tried to explain this very complex stuff. Yeah, he's your dad, but he's not your dad. I didn't give a shit. He was my dad for all intents and purposes. Do I get to hang out? Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with him. That's something I always looked forward to when I was a kid. That was something I liked to do and I loved doing. And again, I didn't really realize the relationship with my mother until much later in life, where I felt that obligation, that sort of disconnect of, she's my mom, I couldn't see what was being there, but at the same time, there's not that damn, I need to go talk to mom, damn, I need to go, I'm in trouble, I need to go talk to mom first. I kind of remember I went back to the door, and it's I always go to my dad first. There's always that thing of, oh shit, I'm in trouble, oh shit, I need advice, I need to go talk to dad. It's always the first response over my mom. And I know that kind of troubles my mom, because she's kind of seen it through the years, but I think she kind of gets it. And that bit might not make it to the actual speech, whatever, because that's a little more. Does that elaborate what we're going with?
Yeah, that works for me, yeah.
Because it's
So, I have one more note, and then I want to run through to the point where, so how does that, talking about, like, give me something like, oh, here's why I care about the rest of what Ethan has to say, because his dad is really important, but he's not his blood father. Where does that, so we have our story, our gotcha moment, which is like, but he's not he didn't sire me.
Yes.
And then do we tell about why, like, do we say, how does the structure go after that?
So after that part, what I would see is probably going into why it goes against the traditional family values and why that goes in a fictive kin of, he has been my father for 20 years. Why would he not be considered my actual family? And I was thinking about it earlier when I was making the speech of, like, I always love pulling it up because I play a lot of League, okay? I love the website. How much time have I wasted on LOL? I've spent over 1,700 hours. That has been with anyone who I would consider a brother in there. That is the amount of time I have spent with them, talking with them, doing things with them. That's just that one activity. That's barring actually hanging out, doing other shit, doing other stuff, talking, shitting around. Like, I have spent thousands of hours with these people. Why wouldn't we consider them family? Like, these are like the close friends we always spend time with, I'm always there for. And to the purpose, they should be family. That kind of sense. That's where I think I should have put that one in there somewhere after that. Like, kind of tying, like, you have these relations with probably people you spend a lot of time with. Why wouldn't you consider them family at some point? Like, there's like that connection of, these should be who I consider. It's like, as someone, I don't know where you set on this whole topic. So I know when I was giving the elevator speeches, a lot of people seemed interested, and I'm not sure if they were agreeing, or just wanted to see this perspective actually talked about. So I'm kind of wondering where you're sitting with this. Like, how do you feel?
Yeah, I definitely, I am a very Catholic person, so like you would think I would go into the very traditional, like in my own view on my family, like my mom and my dad and my sister, my blood relatives, you would think that those would be the people who I go to, but I actually go to like not them. So I'm on board with this.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that.
But then I'm going to ask the next one. Would you call the people that you go to actual family? Would you give them those titles in place?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's my next question. Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, I get that. And then I think the idea of the what if and why it matters is taking the fictive family and turning it into an actual family. Like, that to me seems like there's just a really big disconnect of words. Like, no, we don't. This is horseshit. Right. So I think this is where I think the idea of the family is fictive. It's like, this is not true kinship, but it's like, I spent so many time with people just because I wasn't born in the same. What's the word I'm looking for? That's gonna make this sound so weird. It's like kennel. Looking for the word, it's like
talking about litter.
Litter. Just because I wasn't born in the same litter as them doesn't mean anything less. It's like, yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's run through it again.
Okay.
One more note.
Okay. So
We're doing a lot of this.
yes, move around. I'd like. Okay.
Like, I mean, you can like get excited about it and like move around and like be very non-verbally active, but like
Do something.
This-
Put. Don't do
like
this.
if you go like or like
So
you can be very non-verbally expressive. There needs to be a little bit more intentionality in it, and also this needs to stop. Like the hitting the jeans.
Okay.
Needs to stop.
Just because it sounds distracting.
It's distracting and like, oh, he hit his jeans, but he's talking about family. Okay, I'm clocked in. All right.
All right.
Ready, set, go.
Okay. So the other day, I decided to get fired from my job. Yeah, I chose to get fired from my job. It's a strange set of circumstances, honestly, but it's not a decision I could make alone. So what did I do? I called my father. Well, I called him while I was on my way to class, and I said, "Hey, Dad. So I think I'm going to get fired tonight, or I'm choosing to get fired tonight. What do you think?" "Well, see, son. You know, school's always important. Comes first. We'll figure everything else later. All right? Do what you got to do." I said, "All right, cool." Hung up, went to class. Later that day, I went and called my mom, because obviously I've got to pull her in. She's rather important to this whole, funding college process, and, see how she's doing. I haven't called her lately. I called my mom. I said, I tried to be funny. I tried. What I did was I was like, hey mom, I'm gonna get myself fired tonight. She didn't find it very funny. I tried to be more humorous, but I don't know, maybe it was the tone or something. She's already having a bad day apparently, and I could just hear it in the tone of her voice. And then, like, you know when your parents like stare at you and you're just like upset and they just have that look on their face? I could hear that through the phone. So about after 20 minutes of slight lecturing and parental advising, I went home, did some soul searching, some self-depreciation, and probably went through some of the stages of grief on the way. But after that, I texted my brother and said, hey, I need someone to talk to tonight. Just text me to get off work. And he said, okay, everything okay? I said, yeah, I'm alive. So I call him about midnight. I don't get off the phone until maybe about 4 o'clock in the morning. Something I needed. It made me feel a lot better. And just in general, just be able to talk to someone around my age, feel nice, just kind of get myself together. So, but I wanted to kind of talk about family. You know, when people have problems, we typically go to our family. There are support networks, physically, emotionally, socially, informationally, help, even financially at times. They're the people who we go to first. Because, in life we have strangers, associates, friends, close friends, but family. Family is always something special, as it's like our origin of existence. They're the first people we meet. They're the first people who tell us and teach us how to talk. They're the first people who tell us and teach us where we stand in the world, and even teach us our culture. They're the ones who we start life with, in a sense. And families, traditionally, in the Western world, we have this idea of thought. We have like nuclear families. There are like 2 parents and kids. Single parent families, which is a single parent and kids. Or families with no kids. And even then you have extended families, so aunts, uncles, grandparents, nieces, nephews, cousins, all that jazz. Things are wide ranging. Then you also have fictive kin. This is something I thought was kind of interesting. See, fictive kin, at least as anthropologists and endographers would define it, is someone who you're not sanguineally or affinally tied to. It's not true kinship, but you choose them to be your family. That's another form of it. And that's where I think a lot of my family lies. You see, going back to my story, 2/3 of the people in that story are actually not tied to me from birth. My father and my brother. My father was a man who happened to be the roommate of my mother when I was born. You see, I've not known a day where I've not known him. I don't really know what it was. Again, I was like 0 at the time. But he and I bonded in a way that, like, since it's been a strong connection since. I can't quite explain it, but anytime I get in trouble, anytime I need advice, anytime I just need something more, I call my dad. And I'm just seeing what I can do, or see what he can give me. And even then, sometimes, it's weird growing up as a kid, like, I don't know, being a kid and growing up and asking him, or having simple conversations with him, but I have those things with him. He's someone who I always go to first. Unlike my mother, who, I love my mom, don't get me wrong. She's the one who gave birth to me, brought me into this world, and I think I could be eternally grateful for her. But I don't quite feel the same way about her as I do my dad. And I think I know why. I found out during my teenage years. It was choice. It was always choice. My dad chose me and I chose my dad. On some level it was that. My mother just simply had me. I was born because a man could dance. I'm glad he could dance because I exist, but that's literally where I start. Just some 5'8" dude could dance really well. And he then fucked off, and I think I met him once. His name was Polo, I know that, and he was bald. This has nothing to do with that. Didn't care. This is just easy. Either way. And I think that's why I liked my dad so much more growing up. I think because he was a little more stable, and I had that connection of I chose him, he chose me. With my mom, it was about the obligation. There was something about the relationship and the connection that just, I had to love my mom because she's my mother. Even saying, I'm alright with my mom, it feels wrong, doesn't it? Like, to be like, I hate my mom, or even neutral, it just doesn't feel quite as right. Like, I find myself still saying, I love my mom, but I always have to say, I love my mom, but it'll never sound right. It just doesn't work with, like again, the nuclear family, the single parent family, or anything we really work with. The family at its core is blood related and immediate. The parents and the kids, the siblings. That's where it sits foundationally for us. Even as a society, it's where we sit. And we all want family. We all have family. Shitty or not, it's there. And family is the support network. It's where we start. But I didn't quite like the idea of fictive family. Again, it's why I sit there, but it's the words used to describe it. Again, my father, I've not known a day where I didn't know him. I've known him for 20 years, my entire existence, but conventionally speaking, he wouldn't be my dad. But there was a time when I was a kid where my mom and dad tried to explain to me that he wasn't my dad, but I looked at him and said, does that mean I don't get to hang with him anymore? Of course not. I stopped giving a shit and I got in the car ready to hang with my dad. Like there's no disconnect between them. Like he still had that role in me. And even my friends who I call my brothers and my sisters. I've spent hours and hours with these people. Like, of days. If I have the choice, I spend almost every day with them. Apparently that's strange and odd to people that I spend the same day with the same people over and over again. That's my natural life. Again, I would have it no other way. And I have a problem when it's not true kinship. That's where I find it strange. Like, why does it have to be blood related? There's always a quote that I love to cite. My sister once threw at me at it. Oh, young child. She always told me, she tried to tell me, that blood was thicker than water. Because she was mad that I was always hanging out with my friends. She has yet to learn that it's fine. Because, the true quote is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the blood of the bull. The bonds we make are always going to be stronger than the ones that were just given. Choosing your family will always be stronger than traditional inheritance, at least in my opinion. Because again, with my dad, there was always that choice. There was always that option of, this is what I want, and we have both chosen one. With my mom, it just wasn't the same. So it made sense when I got older and I realized this, I started choosing other parts of my family. I would have never had brothers had I had that option. I would have just had a sister who was 6 years my junior. And we tell you, we never quite connected. That 6 years is always like, yeah, I'm older, but that's about it. And it never quite clicked. So why should I deprive myself of that opportunity of having a bigger family? And even if you could choose your regular family, even in a regular family, there's like a stake put in you. There's like a community sense. You've chosen one another, and you're choosing to participate in the community, that backbone and that support. But sometimes it's not there. And even if you do have it, you can just expand. It works both sides. All I'm saying is that I want people to have a stronger connection with the people in the support network. I want there to be a choice, and to expand that. Because in the family unit, this is who you have, and until your mom decides to have another child, and have another brother, or cousins, aunts, and uncles, those, unless they get expanded upon, you don't get new ones. You get whatever's helped to you, or dealt to you. And in life, fate shouldn't choose your support network. You should choose your family. Or fate shouldn't choose your family. You should choose your family. There we go. Much better?
That was a lot better, yeah. The ending there. Fate shouldn't choose your family. You should choose your family.
Need something strong. I'm trying to find the words of work.
You need something stronger, but here's how you do it. Fate shouldn't choose your family. You should.
That's the word. See.
You don't need a phrase change. You don't need to change.
You should choose your family.
You just need to. It's a timing, and maybe you give them the strong gesture, and you slow it down. You look them dead in the eyes, and you make the point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just the one friend, and you choose your family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Non-verbally, it was a ton better. You were doing some of this.
This is just natural. Like this is where
unless
it's like in my hands. It's
where you're at. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I have a pen.
Do you see this maneuver right here?
Mm-hmm.
When you if you're a professor if we're across the table from each other,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a professor, and I'm trying to tell you, here's why you're gonna fail my class. This is a confidence maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
So I go into the room and I'm about to give my talk. You'll probably notice this when I do my talk. This is something that it projects confidence, and this tells you, oh, Matt is confident about what he's doing, and this tells me you are, as Matt, confident in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fake it till you make it tactic, and also expressing what's real.
Hold on.
So yeah,
I was going to write that down.
the steeple.
The steeple. That's fine. I like this one just because I don't know.
Dude, this is like a Naruto move. I love this. Shikamaru.
I don't remember that. I didn't watch Naruto.
Okay, he's awesome.
Either way,
Anyway,
beside the point. I don't know. I like because
this is good.
exposing or just did it like this or exposing my palms just because I like to be open with people, I like to be honest.
Yeah.
So exposing my palms, this is more natural for me.
Yeah, and like, I watched an amazing talk. I might have been in Barrymore's just like normal nonverbal.
Moore's fucking amazing.
Yeah, her dad is dead.
Oh.
This last weekend. I learned that earlier today. That's really unfortunate. Ashley's gonna be really upset that I bring that up in this. Okay.
Well, yeah, we're doing other things right now.
Okay. To go back to it, I watched this really awesome talk. I think it was in Mary's class where it was a guy talking about like. It was this guy who has a number of talks about like how to talk so people listen, and he was talking about like, if you add, hey Ethan, will you go and get me my Gatorade water bottle off the table, please? It's like a invitation, please do this thing for me, you kind person, you who I appreciate. Versus a, Ethan, will you please go get me that green water bottle over there? It's a, hey, be quick about it and give me my thing. And this is a, hey Ethan, will you please go get me my water bottle?
All right, put the finger down.
It's a, all right, you moron, go give me my thing. Be quick about it. Yeah.
I didn't.
So I really do, I think this is good.
Yeah.
Being open, you know, you can lock them in, you can keep them.
But they have to me, it's always exposed. I don't need the confidence one. I feel like, I don't know, this is something I always felt was something, at least one of my strong points is, I may not always be the best with my words, but I feel that when I come, I'm in the room, and you know I'm in the room, the presence is always
Your
there.
presence is there, definitely, yeah. Yeah, you have a really strong presence, and
that's why I always feel like some of the nonverbals always betray me, so it's like, oh, well, the voice is always there. I feel like once
the voice is there, and you know, you're in the room, but your nonverbals maybe betray you, yeah. So
sometimes the voice is like,
oh, something I noticed in this past run through. Oh, geez, I didn't see how long that was. I need to time that. Next time we go through it. When you start, like you talk about your story, you're giving your story, and then you can talk about like here, you know, I think some intentional movement about like you're over here with the story, you're talking about your dad, talking about your mom, your story from today, and then you move in and you go, and here's where we're talking about our family and like nuclear family and all this stuff, and then there's fictive kin over here, which is regarded as maybe like not so real, but I actually feel that this is real and this is truly family.
okay, so what I want to do is start here, kind of like lean over here, like start in the starting position where I'm going,
Yeah.
do my thing, then kind of walk over here, kind of going into the more, foundational of the argument, part of the
Yeah.
story, and then walk back over here, but this is where I truly stand.
Right, and so like, yeah, I think a very, yeah, so we're talking about, our nuclear family and our extended family, and I'm putting fictive kin into the place you're gonna stand. Yeah, I think it's gonna be really powerful. Like, some people say that this is not family. I say differently.
Okay, I like the word, but I say, okay. I think, okay.
All right, so let's run through that bit, the story and the talking about the family, and then the I think differently.
Okay, just want to run that bit, just that first
Just
half?
that first bit, yeah.
Okay, so the other day I decided to get fired from work. Yes, I chose to get fired from work. It's a strange set of circumstances, but yeah, it's not one I made alone. I called my dad. I talked to my dad. I said, hey Dad, how's it going? So I'm deciding I'm choosing to get fired from work tonight. What do you think? Well, son, you know how it is. School's always most important. We'll figure out everything going forward. Do what you gotta do. Alright, that's cool. I'll talk to you later. Love you. Bye-bye. So, I go to class. We go on. Later that day, I call my mom, because I've obviously got to fill in the loop. Like, she's in part of the financial situation with college and so, and I just gotta talk to my mom. It's been a few days, alright? So I'm not great about it. But, call my mom. I should not have phrased it like this, but, so, hey mom, I'm choosing to get fired from work tonight. It was meant to be humorous. It was meant to be kind of funny. My mom had a bad day, and she didn't like the word fired, and so that set her off, and I think about 20 minutes of slight lecturing and me trying to console my mother over completely other events. You know that feeling when you tell your parents something and like it's way off and they just kind of stare at you? Like, I could feel that through the phone. So I go home after that conversation and I do some soul searching, some depreciation, and go through like the 5 stages of grief. And then I text my brother. I say, hey man, can we talk tonight? Because I just need someone to talk to. And he's like, all right, cool. Everything all right? Yeah, all right. But you know, in life, we have strangers, associates, friends, family. Hold on. Fuck that bit. Go back. I want to do that. I want to redo it that way because that's not how that transition is supposed to go. So I talk to my brother. So basically, I go, I talk to my brother. That's a good night. We chill, we talk, we shoot the shit. All the stress of the day just fades away. I'm not being advised. I'm not just being lectured and parented. I can just do some soul searching and get some reprieve. It was quite nice. But you know, in life, when we have problems, we go to family first, right? That is typically the response. We go and talk to family. They're our support network at its core. Be it socially, physically, ideologically, or even financially at times. And family in itself kind of consists of, the nuclear family. Parents, kids, at its core. Or you have single parent family, with parent and kids. Or you have kidless parents, or kidless families, which are just partners, really. And then you've got extended family, so aunts, uncles, grandparents, nieces, nephews, cousins, all that shebang. There's a very wide variety of, typical family, relations. But then you got fictive family, which is according to anthropologists and ethnographers, is having kinship with people who are not sanguinely or affinally tied to you. It's quite different than everything else, which is related by blood or some marriage. But this is where I stay with fictive family. See, fictive family. There's the words. Okay, continue going. Okay. So with fictive family, the story that I just told you. 2/3 of those people have no blood and or affinal relations to me. My father and my brother. My mother gave birth to me, of course, had to come to this world some way, and I still talk to her. I love her. But there's something different about choosing your family, about choosing that fictive, which it sounds like fiction, doesn't fit with the true kin. But my father, I've not known a day where I didn't know him. It's been 20 years since I met him. He was the roommate to my mom when I was born, and I've known him basically since every other day. He's the one who raised me, he brought me up, in a way, alongside my mother. They split at some point in time, but I still saw my dad. We still made that effort. I still got to see him. And even though he wasn't always there, whenever I run into problems, whenever I need advice, whenever I need something, I call my dad first. It's always the first one I go to. Unlike my mom, which owns there. But not the point. Because you see, my mom, how do I put this? It's going to sound weird. But my mom, it's obligatory. My mom gave birth to me, and I must love my mom. Kind of like with the whole parent dynamic, you have kids and you have parents, and there's some sort of obligation to love your family. There's, in society, our foundation, we want family. We want that connection. It is one of the most important relationships we have. So being neutral, or kind of like even, I don't really know about that, it feels wrong to even say. To feel that way is even weirder. And going through my teen years, I realized why I felt so strongly about my dad over my mom. My dad chose me, and I chose my dad on a very basic level when I was like 1, it seems. But like my mom got me. My mom just inherited me. And even then, I still have trouble being feeling that deep, warm and amorous feeling you're supposed to for family. It doesn't sit and connect on the blood relation. I love my mom, and I wouldn't trade her for the world, but it's just not the same. Same with my brothers and my sisters. It's just, my brothers, while not, born from the same litter as me, feel much more closer to me than my actual blood sister, who was 6 years my junior. There was never that connection.
That's good.
Okay. And I feel like the transition probably needs to be stated stronger and more.
Yeah.
More thing.
You did really good there. Yeah. The fictive, what we're talking about, and then there's fictive kin. I think that's very good to get it. It's over there. It's over there. It's not a part of here's our structure, and when we have this. You did good there. There are some places, like I love my mom, and sometimes our relationship it feels obligatory. Like I have to love my mom. But there's a timing difference that gives that a little bit more weight. Like I have to love my mom. It's obligatory, and she gave birth to me, and so it feels like I have to love her. But sometimes even if you were to depart from saying that you love your mom or like you just live neutral, it would just be super weird. Versus something like I love my mom. She gave birth to me, but the relationship is obligatory, and I have to love my mom. And even to say that you're neutral or that you don't love your mom is just so weird. But that's what that relationship feels like sometimes. It just feels like an obligation. I never made the choice of my mom, and so I won't have that close and amorous connection that you're supposed to have with family with my mom, like I do with my dad. And you could even separate like mom is over here, and dad is or like actually this is important. Mom is over here, dad is over here. Do you see
Yeah, because we're gonna be. This is where the traditional. So this is mom. This has got. But we're over here with dad.
Right,
This
exactly.
This is where I sit.
Yeah, I think like to talk about that same talk again, like this is kind of I think this like invitation, like love your parent means like you have to go love your parent versus love your parent. It's like an invitation to do so.
Underhand and overhand.
Yeah.
Okay, so stick down here is probably going to be beneficial.
Yeah, dad's down, dad is open and maybe in your comfort zone, and then mom can be
Over here.
over here.
Just gotta have to.
Yeah.
And, okay. It's probably. Okay.
All right, let's run it from. Why don't you do you just finished your story and you're walking over, and then you're about to talk about the family, the structural bits of family there.
Okay, so. But, like any. But, like I would, what you first do when you run into problems is usually you call family, or you go to family. It's just the most natural response. Because family is important, if not the most important relationships we have. It's because in life we have associates, strangers, friends, close friends, but then we have family. There's something special about family in and of itself. But family comes in a variety of different ways. We have nuclear families, which parents, kids, in the immediate unit. We have single parent families. We have one kid or one parent and maybe multiple children. Or parentless kids, or kidless parents who have no kids, which are just partners normally. Then you have extended family, which is grandparents, aunts, uncles, nephews, nieces, cousins, all that jazz. But then you have fictive kin. So fictive kin, determined by anthropologists and ethnographers, are basic relations that when people regard each other as kin, despite not having sanguineal or filial ties. But this is where I sit, because 2/3 of the people that I had in the past story are more or less fictive kin, my father and my brother. My father was the roommate of my mother when she had me. And he is, there's a difference in the relation between my father, I, and my mother. You see, with my father, there's never been a day where I've not known him. But that's because he chose to be part of my life, and I essentially, on some basic levels, as a baby, chose to be part of his life. And that's just how, from my perspective, it's always been. We chose one another, unlike my mom. I love my mom, but there's some obligation to the relationship. My mom gave birth to me, so I have to love my mom. And she's repeated that, like, I am your mother, you will listen to me, you will do as I say. But my mom, she's kind of over here. I was basically given to my mom because a man could dance. And she didn't want to abort me, so lucky me, I guess. But my dad, he didn't have to. He didn't have to be a part of my life. He didn't have to do anything. But he chose to take care of me as a kid. He chose to stick around. He chose to be a father figure. And I think because of that, I feel that deep and amorous and warm feeling you're supposed to with family, unlike my mom, where just, even when I know it exists, I can't quite choose that. Like there's that obligation that ruins that. And I try to, and I still feel that love, but not saying those words or even being like, kind of neutral towards my mom. I feel like if she heard those words, it would crush her. Or even just speaking to myself, it feels so foreign in a way. It's just not natural because you're indoctrinated, it seems, from a young age. Your blood family is your family. And even then, people always say, water is thicker than blood. However, that quote's not right, it's horseshit, in fact. You see, it's the blood of the covenant is much thicker than the water of the road. Because the relations you choose are always going to be much stronger than the ones that you've just given. Because you're obliged to do them. You have to do them because you have to. There's no real reason. Unlike with my dad, if I want to hang out with my dad, actually no, this is a better scenario. So if my friend asked me, or my brother asked me, he said, hey, can you do this for me? Like, can I go and hang out with his wife while he's out of town or doing something busy? I may not want to do it, but I'm choosing to do it because I want to keep that relationship good. Like, there's always that, like, I don't want to do it, but I will still do it. But it's not because I'm obliged to do it, it's because I want, on some level, to choose to keep this relationship. Like my mom, where if I went and did something for her, I kind of have to. Like, there's the obligation, it's still there. The necessity to do that for her sits there. And that's why it will never be quite as, the family, like that strong blood family tie with her, unlike with my brother or my father.
That's good.
Getting better?
Yeah. So,
I'm sorry I keep adding shit, like, in
no,
sex.
you're good, yeah. I really do like the bit about, like, my mom had me because a guy could dance. Like, the second time you ran through that, that was, like, very powerful, and it, you could really see, like, basically you could see what would, like, if you didn't have your dad, like, you could see some of the potential for, like, a lot of wounds there. But you had that father figure, and I think, like, so I've been on Aristotle because my talk is about Aristotle's philosophy of friendship.
Yeah, we talked about it in the elevator.
Yeah. And so I was listening to the first part of his Nicomachean Ethics is really just talking about virtues. And so, he's the vice of excess, vice of deficiency, and the mean is the virtue. So, I think, and when he gets to friendship, he says that true friendship is to will the good of the other for the sake of the other, and that's what love is. And before he talks about friendship, he talks about justice, which is giving to the other what is their due. And so I think if you use those terms, maybe not, you could use justice and love, or
I think the love bit is what I'm gonna do, but that could be like a background thing, because you have the back version, it seems like there, but I don't know if I have the time to kind of extrapolate on that.
right.
But I feel like,
I don't know if you have time to explain
like
what
that
you're
bit,
saying.
yeah, and then, but I do like the bit of the obligation versus, like, there's always, like, it's always been strikingly, like, this is why I always thought my conversation was gonna be strange, because it's very defined on terms. Obligation versus, yeah, I'm obligated to kind of do this, because again, we're deep friends and we have that relationship, but I'm choosing the obligation rather than
That's
inheriting the obligation.
the choice of the so Aristotle talks about this. to do the good for the other is called beneficence, which is our angel over there. I'm putting her in my talk. And so you have obligation and beneficence, or a choosing the good to do the good of the other for their sake. because you want the good for them. Versus obligation, you're given, your mother brought you into this world, you are obligated to, well, respect thy mother and thy father. So you respect your dad and you respect your mother.
But it's not the same.
It's not the same.
I'm obliged to do
It's a justice versus a
beneficence.
beneficence. The virtue of charity, the word charity, like, oh, I'm gonna give you $5 because you're homeless. That's not what it means, but like, yeah. And I know people, I don't explain charity well, so I won't say you should talk about it being charity, but that's like, you know, the teach you what are the two greatest commandments, love God and love your neighbor.
Yes.
It's the virtue that he's talking about there. That's what charity is.
Okay.
And they're together, not separate. Okay.
Okay.
Let's go through it all the way one more time.
Okay.
And I'm gonna pull up my phone clock.
You know, while you're doing that, I'm so happy that I got fired from my job because I can actually have my beard back.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that bit.
Where did you work with?
Woodworth's cafeteria.
That's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. It's like, yeah, we can have you wear a beard now, but that looks tacky as shit. And I was like, alright, I need the job, so whatever. But I'm getting it back, I'm excited.
Alright.
So I know. Alright, ready?
Ready, set, go.
Okay. So, the other day, I decided that I was going to get fired. Yes, I chose to get fired. But it wasn't a decision I made alone. You see, like any other person, I called my dad. I said, hey Dad, I'm getting fired because the semester's stacking up and I need the time to work on my assignments and try to get a decent end on my classes. And he's like, son, you know what I always said, school comes first, we'll figure out the rest, do what you gotta do. Alright, cool. So, I go to class, I'm like, alright, everything's gonna be good. Later, I call my mom. My mom, I tried to be funny. I tried to be like, hey Mom, I'm gonna get fired. I'm gonna choose to get fired tonight. What? That was not the right words to choose. I tried to be funny. Mom was having a bad day. And that led to me getting lectured and me more consoling her, more than her, trying to help me with this. So after about 20 minutes of just feeling like, when you tell your parents something, they look at you like, really? I can feel that through the phone. And after about 20 minutes of it, I just went home. I did some soul searching, some self-depreciation. Maybe went through some of the stages of grief. And texted my brother. I said, hey man, let me know when you get off work tonight. I need to talk to someone. I said, everything all right? Yeah, I'm alive. So, I said, cool. So he gets off about 12. I talked about 4 a.m. in the morning. Man, I just needed someone who wasn't lecturing me and just like trying to be the advisor and kind of figure out what's going on. It felt so great just to have someone kind of around me that just took the stress off. I mean, blew some steam and was like, all right, cool. I'm good, set to go to we'll get to the next step. And it makes sense that when people have problems, the first people to go to is family. Family is the origin. It's who, they bring us into this world, we learn the world through them, they teach us who we are, how we stand against the world, and how we as a local society generally work, how things operate. And in life we have, associates, or strangers, associates, friends, close friends, and family. Because family is that support network even. First people we know, first people we go to. Because they help us emotionally, physically, socially, informationally, and help, even sometimes financially. We always go to them. And they are our foundation. And they come in different forms. You have nuclear families, which are parents and kids. Single parent families, we have a parent and kids. Or kidless parents, or kidless families, which are just partners. And you have extended family, grandparents, uncles, aunts, nieces, nephews, and cousins, and all that jazz. But over there, you got another one. It's called fictive family. Anthropologists and ethnographers like to call people who regard each other as kin, as without sanguineal or filial ties, as not true kinship and thus fictive kin. And this is where I sit on the matter. You see, fictive kin of itself, 2/3 of the people in my previous story were actively have no blood and or filial ties to my family. My father and my brother. My father happened to be the roommate of my mother when I was born. I've never not known a day without her. And it's kind of complicated to speak about. Because you see, my dad, there's always this, oh, it's always felt like a choice. My dad, he didn't need to be part of my life. He didn't need to be there, but he chose to be there. And as a kid, that was my dad, and I chose him there. And it wasn't until I figured out until the later years of my teenage years why I felt so strongly about like that deep, enormous love for my father, where I felt love for my mother. The love of obligation towards my mother. Me and my mom's relationship, my mother gave birth to me, and I love my mom because she's my mom. But in all honesty, I was born because a man could dance. And while I'm glad I exist, I enjoy the life I have, there's always going to be that sense of obligation to my mother. I can't, even though I know I chose my dad, I can't quite choose my mom in the same way. Because, again, she got knocked up by a dude, and she had me. I'm grateful she didn't abort me. But, stop for a second. Sorry, there's a fucked up joke there that like crossed my mind. I don't want to drop it there. It's like,
I want to hear it.
I'm not the first one. I wouldn't be the first one. Abortion. It wouldn't be the first time. That's fucked up, and it just crossed my mind. It's like, damn, that's bad. Can't drop that one. I just gotta keep moving. It's just fucked up. It's like, what? I'm sorry. I was like, it just crossed my mind after that bit. It's
Oh
like,
yeah, no, tell the joke. I mean,
woo!
you can tell me the joke. Just don't do it in your.
Because it's like, just derails it so hard. It's just like, is bad. It could go across really fucking bad. It's like, I wouldn't be the first one to be thought about being aborted. That's a whole different story. Okay,
Yeah,
back
all right.
to, where was I? Talking about my mom and the obligation. Okay,
Yeah.
so, my mom's over there. There's that sense of obligation to the relationship. And I can't quite get past that. And even, but because of this realization, I realized your family doesn't have to be tied to the blood relations because of my father. Again, he chose me and I chose him. And it's always felt like that family bond everyone talks about, that deep and warm feeling. You know, the sense of community and that support network. You know, I was talking about that because that makes sense. I'm sure some of you have that blood relation where it's like your family has a stake in you and you have a stake in the family. That's that choosing I'm talking about, of being a part of that community. And that's the sense of love that people I think look for, that backbone, that love and support. But it's not always there. And even then, why does it have to be tied to blood over here? Like, all the family relations I talked about had to do with parents and kids. Parent and kid. Had to be a sanguineal or a filial tie to that child. My brothers and sisters, I wouldn't have them one. I would be stuck with a sister who was 6 years my junior. Nowhere near the age gap that we would have anything in common or really care about the same things, going through different stages of life. My brothers, they're all around my age. They all get what's going through. And at the end of the day, I would spend, regardless of the time, talking to them. If given the opportunity, I would spend every single day with them. No questions asked. And I've spent thousands of hours with them, much as I've spent so much time with my father, and my mother, and my sister. But I still wouldn't disregard them as not family. They are all my family in that sense. So when you have so from here we go into the end bit, which is about choosing the family. What time are we at right now?
6:40.
Okay, cool. Okay. So, okay. And so when I get frustrated is because of that sense of true kinship. Family over here versus the family over here. Why do I have to feel that the fictive kin where I stand is wrong because I chose it. It's not the same as over here, but there's a sense, again, of obligation towards my actual family, in a sense, over there. My mother, I'm eternally grateful for her, and again, it feels so wrong to even be like, yeah, I'm kind of neutral towards her. Like, there's something so foreign to the concept of being slightly off with your blood family. It's so ingrained that even as I stand up here and try to be like, yeah, no, you should choose your family, talking about my mom in that way, it feels wrong because it doesn't feel right. But I still, if my mom asks me, hey, you're going to your sister's dance recital, cool, I'm going to my sister's dance recital. There's no questions asked. But if my brother asks me, hey, Ethan, could you go and sit at my house with my wife so she doesn't feel alone while I'm out of town? I would still do that. But there's a difference in why I do it. There's the obligation to my mom, who I'm doing it. Why? Because I'm her son and that's what's expected of me. However, my brother, I do it, and may not want to do it in both cases, I'm not going to lie to you, but I do it because I want what's best for him. He wants this, I will give it to him. Because that's what I'm supposed to do, and I'm choosing that. Like this is something I've opted into myself, and I want this to continue, and I will continue to do so because I want this to continue. Same thing with mom. I wouldn't want that, but I'm not necessarily choosing it because I chose that relationship. I'm choosing it because that's my mom. It's more of a duty on me as a son to do those things. And it feels strange to have the difference of the two growing up and figuring this out. So what I wanted to bring to you was that when going through life, you should try to build your support network. Choose your family. And even if you have a family that you really like and enjoy, keep them. That you chose that family. That you have done that on some level. If you even haven't realized it, you've done that. And that's great. But don't feel limited to them. Don't feel trapped by this. You can have other brothers and sisters, other mothers and fathers, other aunts and uncles. You can have them. They exist. And you can give them those titles, choose those relationships, and keep building that support network. You don't have to be tied to that. And if you don't have a great support network, throw it away. Toss it. It is what it is. Make a new one. Choose a new one. Get what you need, because family as itself is what we need to go through life at times. We need people to go to when we're in trouble. We need people for advice. Find those relations. Fate shouldn't choose your family. You should choose your family.
Awesome.
There we go. If we can get past some of the transitional bits between the skits, oh my God.
So good. That was awesome. Oh man, yeah.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Let me see if there's anything else.
Going next Tuesday is going to be a killer. Oh my God.
Yeah, that is gonna be tough.
When are you going?
Friday Finals Week.
Oh, I couldn't do it then. I will say there's always the great advantage of going first. That's what I was. If you've not noticed, if I can't, I always go on the first day. I just get out of the way, rip the Band-Aid off. Take the L if it's going to be an L. It's always feels good.
Let's see here.
But I definitely feel a little more confident about going to this.
Yeah.
Having another perspective is always nice.
Yeah. I really like this coaching project.
Mm-hmm.
This coaching thing. Yeah, I will say that coming in and what you came in with and what you're gonna leave with, you had so much, you improved so much over the course of it, like just getting it practiced and getting it maybe structured a little bit more. I frankly think this is just gonna blow everybody away. Like, we get that visual aid up there. Ooh, it's gonna be so good.
Hopefully the visual aid's good. I'm not been good on that bit. I keep looking at it. I'm curious. What's the red book? In your backpack.
What's the red book?
Can you send the red book? It looks old. I was like, what is this?
It's my Bible.
Oh, nice.
I'm one of those.
That's fine. I just I remember I have I don't think I have it like on me like anywhere near me, but I know somewhere in my mom's house I have my grandfather's Bible in it. It's a little shiny, a little kind of bigger, and it's like something I need to read through one of these days. But
It's worth the read. Okay, so there's this developing a plan.
yes, developing the plan.
So basically, what I think, like, the one thing, there, like in that development plan, like the one thing that if you work out the kinks in this one thing, you're gonna freaking kill it. It's those transitions. And even like with the
with the A, making those more fluid and more natural, and practicing it and getting some perspective on like movements that accompany it. Like, it's really more like the vocal, presentational, the words you're saying.
So iron out
transitions.
some of those more like filler words, so I do notice they kind of go
Yeah.
back, but those got a little ironed out as I practice, so
Uh,
going into next week, kind of those, but finding the certain transitions, just from,
Yeah.
we made the structure,
Yeah.
that was at least a little more solid, but just getting from point to point.
At the very beginning, you were a 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and now you're probably 6 steps forward and 1 step back. You just gotta take all the steps forward.
Okay. Remember, let's keep moving forward.
Always keep moving forward, that's right, yeah.
I remember, listen man, that presentation was like, I think my best thus far, and it makes me really sad that I forgot a slide.
Did you, oh wait, yeah.
That's the one moment I paused. Like I looked at the screen, keep moving on, because I forgot a slide. That was so shitty.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, so I definitely would say, like, one thing to work on between now and next Tuesday is those transitions. Like, in like a, I don't know if you like typed up a script or whatever, but like, or you just have it locked up in your brain.
I can kind of show you. I wrote out like that beginning bit in another book, but I write a lot, and so like I wrote out like the definition of the fictive kin, and this was written down, but I summarized into this, going into this. I have some structure written down, so I've written kind of a script, but I also know don't write a script and memorize the script.
Yeah.
I remember just writing out for general sense. All right, this is what I want to say generally. Go. That's why I think of the first one. You saw me puke everything out because that was my idea. Like, I have all these ideas.
Rah, there it is, yeah.
And
And, yeah, so, to a point, there comes like at the outlining and the brainstorming, but to another point, you're just gonna have to practice this stuff. And so like, you know, get somebody, you know, Thanksgiving break, I imagine you celebrate Thanksgiving.
yes, I'm looking forward to not eating just rice and chicken for like the next day and a half.
Same, yeah. Yeah, I think probably be cautious on who you do this around, because, you know, your mom hears about this, you don't give this to your mom.
This is not something that goes to my mom. My mom is.
Or to your dad, for that matter, just out of respect for
Well,
him
my dad-
respecting your mom.
My dad actually doesn't live with us. He lives.
I
somewhere.
recall that, I figured that.
Yeah,
I think I heard a little tidbit in there.
Yeah, no, that was. Yeah, so it's just my mom. Trust me, I'll be worrying about that one. I'm not dumb enough to really do that.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, but like, I don't know. I don't know who you will do this with, but like, get it practiced. If you have to do it in the mirror, do it in the mirror. Like, and as you do it, you could think to yourself like, take a step into like the presentation zen, like this was a really good line. What if I did end this line? You know, really like add. You get to bring the hammer down.
Yeah, I think.
Hammer on the floor, or hammer on the floor, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, you're doing really good, and yeah, I'm really excited for your talk. It's gonna be great.
I hope, like, I don't know how this is gonna hit with the audience. People, like, when I did the elevator pitch, people were interested in the conversation, but I don't know if that's just because they agreed, or they would, like, sit differently, or just, like, I don't know how other people feel about it. So I don't know if it's gonna be one of those things like, yeah, this is interesting to hear about because I already kind of agree with it. Like, yeah, that makes sense and it's good to hear about this thing. Or if people are like, oh, I didn't really think about it that way.
I think it's gonna be a good mix of both of that in the class, because there are probably gonna be those people who have like, this is what my family, and like, those people who had, it's different, where like, mom and dad get together, and, I don't know, they're married or whatever, and then they decide on January 22nd of 1974 that we're gonna start trying to have a kid.
Yeah.
And like making a choice to have the kid. And then,
Is that the bit where the story hit? It was like, a man could dance, that's why I was born. Is that why they hit?
yeah, that's evocative, because it I don't know, in a sense you were deprived of what I, at least what I would consider like what you deserved in that.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, yeah, you're doing great, and, you know, if you work on the things you gotta work on, iron out those little bits, and it's gonna be awesome.
Hopefully I can at least end with a bigger band than when I started. Everything else in between has felt just like. That group speech was killing.
Which piece was it?
The group speech was killing. If you want, I would recommend turning off that camera before we're going to talk about this, because I see you had some pictures.
Actually, I love the group speech. It was an excellent project. I really enjoyed my partner, and it was good.
I was kind of curious about how you felt about that bit of.
It was okay.
She literally never showed up. I don't remember the attendance or any other. I found some sick satisfaction that you guys made a whole thing about being on time, but she never showed up until the day of her presentation and got grilled for it.
It was funny.
I hate the roast. See, you don't even have to put this in the highlights. It was there.
Bye, Ashley.